Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com, is brought to you by AP Laser, leading the way, and by RockAuto.com, all the parts your car will ever need. Now is the time on Tech Garage when we visit with Tom Taylor from RockAuto.com. Tom, earlier we showed the folks here, we found brakes on our Silverado. They looked fine from the edge. If you looked at it, the pads and the rotors look great. And we couldn't figure out why the owner was experiencing a lack of braking power. Well, check this out. Once we got it off here, we saw here on the pad, it didn't reach all the way around. We couldn't figure out what the deal was, why we had this uneven wear, until we went to rockauto.com. And we were able to find a chart that you guys had on there with all the specs. And you guys do that for everything on rockauto.com?
Yeah, we try to, and this was for a truck, and General Motors makes trucks for all sorts of different applications for driving around the mall or four-wheeling or towing. So it's normal to have different brake options, and sometimes the only way you know which brake option your vehicle you got, especially if you bought it used, is to inspect it and measure it. And if you go to our info pages, you'll see the dimensions of the brake rotors. So you can actually say, oh, okay, well, I need a 13-inch, and this is a 12-inch, so it doesn't fit.
And so we found that, and lo and behold, once we got the new one, you can check it out. Indeed, we were running one that was 1 inch too small, and there was our problem. And thanks to Rock Auto, we solved the mystery now.
Well, yeah, the hub's the same that it bolts onto, but it's just a different diameter.
The great part about rockauto.com is I don't have to figure out what I need when I'm doing a brake job.
Right, yeah, we have kits for many vehicles, so you can get just one part number. You get the rotor and the pads. You can get a whole set front and back with the brake shoes, brake pads, drums, rotors you need. Less likely to be surprised when you get halfway through the project and say, oh, wait, I need this also.
RockAuto.com takes the guesswork out of buying parts for your vehicle. They have all the parts your car will ever need. John Gardner and Josh Ellis are working over there. A couple of professors. We're bound to learn something here on Garage Ed.
Yep, this is Garage Ed. I'm not Ed, you Ed?
No, I'm Garage.
That makes me Ed?
Yeah.
Ed's actually for education. And boy, we got one of those. We started out with the AC cycle. We talked about thermostatic expansion valves, orifice tubes, compressors, and we made it all the way to the evaporator. What is it? Why do we have one? And what does it do? Well, take a look at it right here on the graphic. The evaporator is located inside the car. So what's happening, the compressor, once again, is pressurizing that refrigerant in a actual gas form. It goes around to the condenser, changes states to a liquid, all the way up to where it goes to the control vise, where it changes pressures. After it changes pressures, it goes to the evaporator, and that's where it actually needs to change back into a gas, and that's where it grabs the heat from inside the car, jumps on the refrigerant, and takes a ride back into the cycle. Now, where is it? Well, there it is right there on the other graphic. You can actually see the evaporator in the case duct system. The heater core and the evaporator, depending on the temperature doors, is going to depend on where the air flows. So if you want it to go through the evaporator, that hot air from the car is going to jump onto that evaporator. They're going to take a ride and get rid of the hot, and thus you're going to feel cooler. But Josh, it really doesn't do it justice there on a graphic, man. I wish I had a case duct system.
Oh, what do you know? I spent 3 hours upside down and got one out of a car for you.
Boy, you are a trooper when it comes to Tech Garage. You guys want to see this. It's actually located up under the driver's side or the passenger side. This one in the case in the passenger side of the vehicle. So you are upside down, and it's located in the car. So not too easy to get to. But if we pull this cover off right here, you can see the first component I talked about. This is actually the heater core. If I take the heater core out, and below that, with coolant dripping all over Josh's head upside down and everything else, bam, there it is. There's our evaporator located in the case duct system, usually inside the car. There's some old school ones that are outside the car. You can see on the truck, the old pickup truck, it's actually located outside there, right up under the actual bulkhead of the car. But Josh, you got a couple of tricks for us.
First trick I'm going to tell you is called a field test, okay? And what that is you just go to the lines. This is going to be at your bulkhead. So the whole point of the AC system is really to get this evaporator cold so I can transfer the heat from the cab to the evaporator to take it outside. So if my lines are cold, that means my AC system is working how it's supposed to. If my lines are cold and inside the cab still blowing warm air, that lets me know it's not my AC system, it's something internally with a blend door or something like that going on that's not functioning correctly.
You can also shoot the temperature. It should change a little bit, right?
Right, you can take a pyrometer, shoot the lines go, one line going in is going to be cold, it's going to go through the evaporator is going to take on heat, so the line coming out will be less cold.
So the whole point is, once again, we're taking the heat from inside the car, it's taking a ride on the refrigerant to the outside, and we're throwing it away. Speaking of taking a ride, we need to take a ride.
Tell you what, John, this truck is fixed. These brakes feel much better. They're stopping a lot better.
You're gonna put me through the windshield.
Sorry about that.
And Dave, you know, it was perfect when you did the bed-in process. That's huge. Everybody wants to stop 50 times because they got new brakes. Don't do that. What you want to do is you actually want to go about 35 miles an hour, come to a stop with some moderate braking, but don't come to a complete stop. Speed up to 55, do it again a few times. Kind of a harder stop, but once again, don't come to a complete stop. Then you can go 4 or 5 times and drive it. Drive it for at least 5 or 10 minutes. Let it cool down without stopping. You don't want that resin to transfer over to the rotors or kind of build up on those pads. And then just park it, let it cool for an hour, man. These things will be in tip-top shape. Dave?
John, I think this is a perfect time for a road trip. We'll keep this thing rolling.
Hey, I'll tell you what, let's go eat lunch. We'll leave the crew there. And hey, you guys join us next week. There'll be plenty more Tech Garage brought to you by RockAuto.com.
Production assistance provided by Chipola College in Marianna, Florida. Chipola was founded in 1947 and it was recently ranked among the top 3 community colleges in the United States.